Hi, we're in part 2 of chapter 5. We're still talking about finding patterns. This example is a little bit more complicated, so I was wanting to walk through this problem with you. Alicia, Melissa, and Dante and Melody love milk. They convinced their older brother, Mark, who did all the shopping, to buy each of them a gallon of milk because they liked it so much. They all put their names on their gallons. One day, they were all really thirsty, and each took 10 drinks according to a different system. Alicia started by drinking half of the milk in her container. Then she drank 1/3 of what was left. Then she drank 1/4 of what was left, and 1/5, and so on. Melissa started to drinking 1/11 of her milk, then 1/10 of what was left, and 1/9 of what was left, and so on. Dante started to drink 1/2 of his milk, then 2/3 of what was left, then 3/4 of what was left, then 4/5, and so on. Melody started drinking 1/2 of her milk, then 1/2 of what was left, then 1/2 of what was left, and so on. After each have taken 10 drinks, how much milk remained in each container? Okay, so we're going to make a table to organize that information again. Okay, so we're going to put the number of drinks on this side. And then we're going to have Alicia, and then we're going to have Melissa, and we're going to have Dante. Okay, so at 0 drinks, they each start out with 1 gallon. Okay, so at 1 drink, it told us that Alicia started by drinking half of the milk in her container. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I have 1 minus 1/2, and I get 1/2 of the container left. Melissa started by drinking 1/11 of her milk. So I'm going to have 1 minus 1/11, and 1 minus 1/11 is 10/11 of her milk is left. Maybe I should write here, milk left. Okay, I said Dante started by drinking 1/2 of his milk. So he drank 1/2. And so then that's 1/2 that's left. And I forgot about Melody. Better put her in there too. Melody started by drinking 1/2 of her milk. So she started with the gallon, and then she drank 1/2. So that means she has half left. Okay, on the second drink, it said, then she drank 1/3 of what was left. So basically, we have 1/2 of the gallon, and then we're going to subtract 1/3 of what was left. So that's why I multiply. And so I typed this in a calculator, and so or I could go off to the side. Well, I want to just show that work off to the side in case we forgot how to do fractions. Okay, so then this is going to be 1/2 minus 1/6. We need a common denominator, so that's 3/2, or sorry, not 3/2, 3/6. Minus 1/6 equals 2/6, which is equal to 1/3. So I have 1/3 that's left. Okay, let's go to Melissa. Melissa started to drink, she started by drinking 1/11 of her milk. then 1/10 of what was left. so we're going to use the 1/10 of what was left. So we have 10/11 minus 1/10 of what was left, and if I would do it out to the side I could, but I'm going to use a calculator here, and I'm going to say, well, after I do all of that subtracting and multiplying, I get 9/11 of a gallon that's left for Melissa. Okay, Dante, it said that Dante started by drinking 1/2 of his milk, then 2/3 of what was left. So we have 1/2 that's left, and then we're going to subtract 2/3 of what was left. And when I do that work, I end up getting 1/6. So I did the work off to the side earlier, so that it makes this video go a little bit faster. Let's look at Melody. She started by drinking 1/2 of milk, and then 1/2 of what was left. So we're going to have 1/2 left. Then we're going to subtract 1/2 of what was left. And so that's 1/2 minus 1/4. So that's going to end up being 1/4. Okay. So now let's talk about the third drink. Okay, so let's go back to Alicia. After she drank 1/3 of what was left, then she drank 1/4 of what was left. So we have 1/3 minus 1/4 of what was left. And when we do that, we end up with 1/4. For Melissa, after she drank 1/10 that was left, then she drank 1/9 that was left. Okay, so she had 9/11. She's going to subtract 1/9 of what was left. And when we do that work, we will get 8/11. Okay, for Dante, he drank 2/3 that was left, and then after the 2/3, then he drank 3/4 of what was left. So we have 1/6 minus 3/4 of what was left. And when we do that work, that ends up being 1/24. Okay, and then Melody, she drank 1/2 of what was left, then another 1/2 of what was left. So we have 1/4 minus 1/2 times 1/4. So that ends up being 1/8. Okay. All right, let's do another one. So let's do the fourth drink. Okay. We have, after she drank 1/4 of what was left, then she drank 1/5 of what was left. So we have 1/4 minus 1/5 of what was left. And that ended up being 1/4 or 1/5. Okay, then for Melissa, after we drank 1/9 of what was left, we're going to drink 1/8 of what was left. So we have 8/11 minus 1/8 times 8/11, and we get 7/11. I hope we could start seeing a pattern so far. Okay, for Dante, we are going to drink 4/5 of what was left. So we have 1/24 minus 4/5 times 1/24. And after I did that work off to the side on another sheet of paper, I ended up getting 1/120. Okay, and so then Melody, she's going to drink 1/2 of what was left. So then that ends up being 1/16. Okay, now we care about going all the way to the 10th drink. So the 5th drink, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Okay, if I look, I can see a pattern for Alicia, and the pattern is adding 1 to the denominator. So add 1 to the denominator. So then this would be 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, 1/9, 1/10, 1/11. Okay, and if we look on for Melissa, we are subtracting 1 from the numerator. Subtract 1 from the numerator. Okay, so then this becomes 6/11ths, 5/11ths, 4/11ths, 3/11ths, 2/11ths, and 1/11ths. Okay, and for Dante, a little bit harder to get for Dante, so I'm going to actually write Dante's out down here. We had 1/2, 1/6, 1/24, and 1/20. Okay, and so what's the pattern there? Well, if I look at the denominator, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. And 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 is 120. So basically, we are going to be multiplying by the next digit in our denominator. Okay, so what we could do here is we could say this is 1 over 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6. It's going to be 1 over 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7. This will be 1 over 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8. And so on and so forth. Okay, I want you to see the pattern. I'm going to run out of time here. And then for Melody, basically what we're doing is we're multiplying everything times 2 in the denominator. So this would be 1 over 32, and then 1 over 64, 1 over 128, and you can continue that pattern up to the 10th as well. So you can see that these finding patterns can get a little complicated, but just organize your data really well and take your time. All right, thank you.